Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It appears from a meme video I posted a few months ago that some of my audience is aware of well-known directors in the so bad it's good genre of film. More specifically, it seems that my audience is well aware of the director Neil Breen. According to his IMDb page, Neil Breen is a filmmaker from Las Vegas who was born in 1958. He began working as an architect and real estate agent, but decided to pursue his passion and became an independent filmmaker. His filmography includes Double Down, released in 2005, I Am Here Now, released in 2009, Fateful Findings, released in 2013, Thru, released in 2016, and Twisted Pair, released in 2018. Breen funded, wrote, directed, edited, and starred in all of these. In all of his films so far, Breen has starred as the lead godlike, hyper-intelligent, and morally superior antagonist. In the film that is the subject of this video, he is literally God. I have seen this a couple of times before, and from what I remember, it's interesting. Brace yourselves.
Jesus is a friend of mine. Jesus is my friend. Jesus is a friend of mine. I have a friend in Jesus.
The film opens with an FBI piracy warning, but don't worry Neil, my video has a warning in the beginning of it too. The warning goes on for about 17 seconds, which is a bit of an exaggeration in my opinion, but to each their own. We then get some stock footage of space with a score in the background. Get used to stock footage being in this film. And this goes on for well over a minute. There's then a tracking shot of the desert along with the opening credits, and while the graphics do look like they belong in 2005, it's not a bad shot. Better get used to shots of the desert as well though. We then get a shot of this crystal ball thing which looks like something your nan would just have in her living room for no reason, and some fading shadows of crucifixes for foreshadowing later. Neil Breen then floats into shot next to the crystal ball, donned with 4 of the 5 holy wounds, and some bits of motherboard taped to him. We then see some more stock footage which I assume is meant to be the internal machinations of his character. We then see a shot of him looking around, intercut with him wearing some kind of Party City mask with some stock sci-fi noises. He's clearly getting a bit creative here with the imagery. Then we are treated to some more really long and tedious shots of the desert, before Neil tells us how disappointed he is in us as a species.
I'm disappointed in your species. The human species.
This is then followed by even more tedious shots of the desert before he continues his scolding, intercut with stock footage that looks like it belongs in National Geographic. Well, at least he is selling the android aspect of his character. There's then this really bizarre and surreal part where shots of baby doll heads in the desert are intercut with footage from a scene later in the film. It's really odd and I don't like it one bit. There's then a really long tracking shot of this van which has a couple abusing alcohol, drugs, and some weapons inside it.
You're crazy! You're crazy!
Think I'm crazy?
What emotions is this supposed to convey? Is she scared? Are they flirting? What's going on? The dude injects what I assume is heroin and gets some watered down jam on his arm. See, always check if it's spiked, man. Neil approaches and despite their vain efforts to shoot him, he lectures them about how humans suck before freezing them and stealing the man's clothes. Neil then temporarily makes the couple disappear and steals their van. After some more exposition from Neil, we get some more stock footage of renewable energy farms. Yes, it really is that boring. Neil makes his way to Las Vegas and we get a really drawn out shot of 2 women sunbathing which will be used later, real classy. Some women are discussing enjoying working in the sustainable energy business with their boss, before Neil talks down to the audience about corruption.
Greedy politicians, lying lawyers and insurance companies are destroying what I had planned for this planet.
Some of the generic evil businessman villains are discussing preventing the public from gaining access to renewable energy in this very odd dialogue.
Now that we've paid off our fellow elected representatives in the legislature, that environmental solar panel development bill will fail next week.
Not to mention the cash it'll put in our pockets.
The women who were talking earlier find out they have been laid off due to the poor economy and corruption and greed in big business and government. These women take this relatively well, and Neil gives the boss lady a rose and tells her not to give up. Some shots of the housing are then ruined by blood splattering in the desert and weapons, with very poorly fitting relaxing music in the background. One of the women who was laid off is walking with her twin sister and baby and discussing being made redundant. Her sister suggests she becomes a woman of the night, which is a bit of a jump. There are other companies she could work for, but it's convenient for the plot. This guy falls off his bike going at a snail's pace, and as they go past him they laugh at him while he gawks at them like a child. The sisters meet up with a gang, I assume to begin their work.
Hell yeah! I'll do her. Damn! Twins!
My god, that was embarrassing. One of the other gang members shoots this guy because he said that, and we get treated to this stock scream sound effect which will be used throughout the film. During some more AI-generated dialogue from our businessmen villains, it is revealed that they plan on having one of their ex-associates killed off, explaining the blood splattering in the desert earlier. We then get this extremely excruciatingly cringy scene of the sisters from earlier frolicking in the pool of one of the villains, along with some terrible dialogue from him.
Double my pleasure.
There's also a really long clip of them pouring champagne, and it makes no sense whatsoever. You'd only need like a 5-second shot. Also, wasn't this the same location used in Fateful Findings? This old, homeless, disabled guy with cancer heads towards the Las Vegas sign while being watched by Neil. He accidentally runs over a guy's foot who pushes him over, so Neil uses his Jesus powers to blind the attacker. Neil then assists the dude with his dying wish.
I always wanted to see this before I died. I only have a month to live.
Really? You didn't want to aim a little higher? If you could wheel yourself at least partially over there, I'm sure you could work towards something better as a final act. The woman who was laid off laments about the welfare of her child, and Neil stops a car of goons that almost runs over the old man. After another lecture, he freezes them, but this guy's still moving. Couldn't they have done another take, or was that the best one? And they just start hemorrhaging from the eyes. It makes no sense. The childless sister gets laid off as well, and plans on lying to her boyfriend about making her part-time job as a woman of the night her full-time job. Yet he plans on lying to her about stealing cars. The art of irony right there, in the words of Hexty Pixel. After briefly conversing with the purple-shirted lady, Neil turns the old guy into a young guy in this really strange shot. And wasn't this one of the guys working for the goons earlier? Come on, Neil, continuity, man! They go off and be a couple, and it's supposed to be really romantic and stuff, even though there's no established relationship or chemistry between them, yada yada. The boyfriend of the childless sister gets in trouble with the gang for stealing stuff from cars on their turf. Last time I checked, that was just stealing. I assumed a car thief would be stealing the actual car. They slit his throat in this horrible effect, and when his girlfriend comes and sees the body, she is not happy.
What? This damn piece of garbage?
It's the same shot over and over, and come on, how is this not funny? Neil is watching from a distance, and the gang leader reveals that one of the members is an undercover police officer. They tie him up and beat the crap out of him. Okay, the horrible effects, the bad timing, the cartoon sound effects, the monotonous line delivery. This is a black comedy, come on, this was done on purpose. After the victim gets his finger cut off, Neil intervenes with his usual shtick. The villains are then crucified in the desert, which is intercut with stock footage and scenes from earlier in the film. And there is overdramatic music in the background. Neil then lectures us about the planet and all that again. This can't be for real. Neil sends the remaining girl on her way and ventures into the desert, but not for 40 days and 40 nights, my friends. The couple from the van earlier is awoken, and the remaining girl follows him through the desert. There's then a classic shot of their hands meeting, and Neil is shown above the girl while lying down, but he is in alien form, and he is nuzzling her or something. Neil says he will give the human race one more chance.
I will give them one more chance. If they fail, I will destroy this planet.
He seems like a class act, honestly. We then get some repeated shots and more lecturing from Neil like we've come full circle and the film ends. This film is definitely an experience. There are so many things wrong with it. I don't even know where to begin. The acting is unbelievably bad, the line deliveries are so flat and uninspired, a dead fish could give a more convincing performance. It's harder to tell through reviews of it, as a lot of scenes have been cut out, but the amount of repeating shots and stock footage is absolutely astounding. I even made a tally of all the occurrences of stock footage used, and I counted 16, including repeats. If you cut all of the unnecessary crap out, this film would be half an hour long. As well as that, in case it wasn't obvious enough, the messaging and themes of this film are not subtle at all. It's so condescending and repeated throughout the film. The thing is, at the same time, Breen isn't specific in what exactly the characters are doing at all. The dialogue is exceedingly vague. I would go in harder on the effects, but this quality isn't uncommon for films with such low budgets that lack many professional staff. The same goes for Neil's leading casting choice. This isn't uncommon for directors at all, especially in the genre. Look at Tommy Wiseau. You could argue it's to save money, but it's more that he does this with every single film he makes, so it's a bit wacky. The women in the film also don't wear appropriate undergarments, which is strange to me, especially as it's windy in a lot of the locations. I honestly wouldn't recommend anyone to watch this if they're not used to films like this, as the arrangement of the scenes messes with the continuity, so it can be hard to follow on a first viewing, especially along with the extremely long shots of scenery, giving a more surreal experience. I also find it strange how Neil's character slaughters the villains like animals, when Jesus' whole thing in the Bible was forgiveness. Well, that's all for this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave your thoughts or any suggestions you have in the comments down below. And as always, thanks for watching.